This episode is brought to you by Audible. They're the world's leading provider of audiobooks with over 150,000 titles to choose from. And you get one for free just by going to audible.com/iced. That's right. You get a free audiobook and a free 30-day trial at audible.com, audible.com/ICET, just for listening to this show. You can even get a free copy of my memoir, Ice, a memoir of gangster life and redemption, or James Altucher's Choose Yourself, which I personally have to read because the man's amazing. Real readers get their audiobooks from Audible.
Upon initial contact with Ice-T's music, I had envisioned him to be an ill-mannered and psychologically unstable man with an extremely uneducated and barbaric frame of mind, whose raps displayed nothing but ridiculous jargon, shocking sexual audacity, and repulsive images of the ghetto. However, after further analysis of his music, I can deduce that he is the epitome of anti-disestablishment terrorism, who embodies the entire spectrum of the urban experience and struggle. But to make things more plain and simple to the layman, I find Ice-T to be the dopest, flyest, OG pimp, hustler, gangster player, hardcore motherfucker living today. To be honest, I am totally and completely on his dick.
Welcome to the Ice-T Final Level Podcast, featuring your co-host, Mick Benzo, and your host,
Ice-T.
Hey, yo, what's up? This is Ice-T and Mick Benzo. You're listening to the Final Level Podcast, number 13.
Now, who would ever thought we'd make the lucky 13?
That's what I'm talking about. 13's always been lucky for me, man.
I'm February 13. That is my birthday. I was born on a Friday, so it's lucky.
I go against the grade. You know, I always pick the odd number, but we are here, and we got a special guest today. We got James Altucher.
Altucher, that's him. Yeah, that's James.
Altucher.
He told us the way to learn his name was to say, I'll touch her.
See?
Fast.
James Altucher.
You gotta touch her fast.
James Altucher fast.
Break it down, Mickey. Who is James Altucher?
Oh, man, he's an entrepreneur, a blogger. Basically, here's a guy that I've read up on, right? And most of us be talking about how we lose money in casinos and things like that. But this man here, he had about $15 million in bank, and then guess what? He checked his bank account. It was zero in it.
So you went, bro, you blew that dough?
I blew it all in one summer. It was like $1 million a week. You could never, I was like MC Hammer on steroids. Not to put him down, but I was the worst you could possibly be.
Okay, so you ran through $15 million. What happened after that, Mick?
After that, I think he decided to do something else and bring up his capital a little bit more, and he invested in something and made $10 million. He got another 10 back.
That's right. I started another company, sold that for 10, went totally bankrupt
again
after that.
So 2 times bankrupt.
Yeah, lost 2 homes, lost my marriage, lost my kids, got them back. You know, everything goes in cycles, but it was hard. Everything was hard. I was totally bankrupt.
So how you doing today?
But what happened was I just said, forget it. I'm just going to start being honest about failure because all Wall Street's dishonest. And I'm going to just start telling what happened to me and how I survived. And by doing that, I figured out what I had been doing wrong all along, and I started doing the right things. And we could talk about that later, but I started living what I call the correct life, and I made back a lot of...
So you stopped touching her?
No, I still. You got to keep touching her because that keeps you healthy.
That's right. That's right.
Gets the endorphins going.
So this is like, let's say, rags to riches, to rags to riches, to rags
to riches to riches to riches.
To doing better.
You know it's, and we talked about this before. You got to learn. What you got to learn is that hustling's important, but that also healthy living's important, and the two together is the combination that creates some success.
And Mickey, you know how you know when somebody's got made a lot of money?
How can you tell?
They're not going to tell you how much money they made. They're just going to say, I'm doing better.
Right, I'm doing slightly better.
That's the key to the big numbers.
And he's young,
well, because, I also, money is just a side effect of correct living.
Okay, so we're going to talk to James. We talk a lot about finances here. We're going to get off into that because I believe there's a lot of and there's an illusion of wealth that's going on out here. James really has actually lived on both sides of the game. He's made it. He's a self-made guy. This is Final Level Podcast number 13, and here we go. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. They're the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy for you to create your own professional website. If you can use Facebook, you can create a website on Squarespace. I built IceTFinalLevel.com and PBHgear.com on Squarespace, and you should use them too. Start with a free trial at squarespace.com with no credit card required. When you're ready to purchase a plan, get 10% off with the offer code ICE. That's squarespace.com, offer code ICE. Okay, yeah, so now it's time to get into our special guest, James Altucher. He's here. He's a hedge fund manager. And James, you know, when people love to say the word hedge fund, this, that, and the other, but very few people, including myself, don't absolutely know what the definition of a hedge fund is and what a manager does at a hedge fund.
Sure. So basically, it means bullshit. It means I'm going to collect a lot of bullshit from rich people and then spend it on bullshit, and then hopefully they get back more than they gave me. Now, I don't do it anymore. I would say I was okay at it, not great at it. I was okay enough to make some money at it. But you know what I realized? I couldn't sleep at night. Everywhere I looked on Wall Street, and this was like the mid-00s, everywhere was a scam. I couldn't find
So
a
you were the
single...
Wolf of Wall Street?
You know, I knew people who worked for that guy, but I wasn't quite like that. But every place I looked on Wall Street, and we even lived on Wall Street, every place I looked was basically just dirt and scumbags. I mean, it had the stink of a smelly whore after a long, busy night. You know what I'm talking about, Iceberg Slim. So,
but James, what's your formal background? Are you a stockbroker? What did
no.
you train as?
I worked at HBO. I was doing all their web stuff. I built a company that made websites for rap labels, basically. So I did Loud Records, Bad Boy Records, Interscope. So I was doing all the entertainment company websites. I sold that company for the $15 million. Lost all of that. So I figured after I lost all of my money, what better thing for me to do but invest other people's money? So I started a hedge fund, and that was...
Now, how did you start ahead without any...
any experience.
No experience.
No
You just
experience.
said,
No
I am a
experience,
hedge
no money.
fund.
No experience, no money.
How much did it cost to get into your hedge fund?
You had to have $1 million.
I love it.
So, and I'll tell you one story. You mind if I tell you one story?
Yeah.
So I'm raising money, and I go to this one guy who everybody says, you got to raise money from this guy. And I go up to him, and he says, James, we love you. We'll even hire you, but we can't give you any money. And I'm like, why not? And he said, we have no idea what you're doing with this money, and reputation is everything for us. The last thing we need at Bernard Madoff Securities is our name on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. So everybody was a scumbag, and that's who I was competing against. And I couldn't raise that much money because all the...
So you crossed paths with Madoff?
Yeah, I crossed paths with Madoff. My neighbor was his top trader. So it was insane
Now,
back then.
did you invest any of this money?
Yeah. I was investing the money, and look, I was doing fine, but it was just, for me, what was hard was raising a lot of money. And I did do an okay job at it, but, you know, Wall Street's difficult because the honest guys are competing against the 99% that are dishonest. And you don't know they're dishonest until it's too late. For a long time, you're just competing against them. So
Okay, wait. So I asked for the definition of hedge fund. You gave me a very hood definition of it.
I didn't mean to be
no,
so
but
hood.
I mean, just for the listeners out there that don't know, a hedge fund is basically you're like a mega investor.
Right, you can invest anywhere you want. There's no restrictions. The only restriction is people have to suppose there's this myth that if somebody has a lot of money, then they know what to do with their money.
So you say as the manager, you need to give me $1 million. I will invest it and bring you back a profit.
Right, that's the goal.
Period.
And I was profitable. I did good with that. But you're competing at raising money, and the guys I was competing against were all people who were illegally making money. So you have a guy, you can't compete against a guy like Madoff until he's caught.
Right.
So until he's caught, it appears like he's a genius.
Right.
So finally, I had to get out of that business. I started another business, sold that. So I started an internet business, sold that for $10 million, lost that money because I was just an idiot over and over again. And I really
earlier you said you were blowing $1 million a night. I would
$1 million a week.
I would love to hang out with you when you were blowing $1 million a week. I bet you was doing some crazy thing.
Oh my
The
God!
Wolf
I
of
don't
Wall
know.
Street,
I don't
baby.
know. I don't know if this is podcast.
Don't incriminate
legible.
yourself. Don't incriminate yourself. But $1 million a week is balling.
But that's
by
why
any standard.
That's why I had to say finally, okay, I had to be honest, and I had to say, well, what was I doing right when I was going up, and what was I doing wrong when I was going down? And the key was, and I do this every day to this day, I check the box on physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health. And if I stop for even a day, I can feel myself slip. So that's what I call the daily practice. Every day, physical health, emotional, be around people you love and respect.
True.
Mental health, be creative every day.
Right.
And spiritual health, be grateful for what you have.
Really?
And that's how I live. And then you know what? You know what happened after that? Money became a side effect of that. I made more money than I ever had before just as a side effect of just doing this. I do what I love every day with people I love, and that is of enormous benefit to me. Sometimes I don't make money, sometimes I lose money, but I'm still doing what I love every day. And it's like what we were talking about earlier. Not everything feels good every day. There's no way to eliminate stress and anxiety and worry no matter who you are. But, you know, if you stick to this daily practice, you survive and survive to the next day.
Well, you know what? It's interesting you say that because, you know, Mickey and I, we come from the other side of the track where everybody's not honest. People are trying to take advantage of other people and stuff. But there was a point in my life where I just said, you know, we're not doing that no more. We're not doing that no more. And we don't accept no negativity. If anybody comes around us talking about ripping this person off or stealing, we don't get down like that. And we struggle sometimes to win, but we don't have that cloud hanging over our head of the double cross or the do low. And people do low to us, you know, and people are like, oh, well, these guys are going to retaliate. We don't even do that. We just like, you know what? We're so busy trying to keep it positive and move forward that we follow pretty much what you're saying
because
right
you've been there, right?
Yeah.
Like you can only in the valley of failure do you sow the seeds of success. So you've been there.
Say that again.
Only in the valley of failure you sow the seeds of success. You plant the seeds of success. And you've been there, so you know how to plant those seeds of success. You don't want to go back into that valley, but it's every day you got to tend to that garden. So, or else it'll wither on you. And I've seen it happen. It's happened to me so many times. I'm 46 years old. I can't let it happen again. I've got 2 kids. You
Right.
know, it's tiring to build back up. To do that hustle is really hard work. And so now I find that just being honest every day, telling my story, helping other people, because now I have millions of readers on my blogs, on my podcasts, and so on. I know what the effect I've had on other people. This is what feeds me, feeds my soul, and now feeds my family, knock on wood.
How can people find your blogs and your podcasts?
So JamesAltucher.com, ALTUCHER.com. Yeah, my podcast is on iTunes, The James Altucher Show, or my book, Choose Yourself, or The Power of No, which I
You
just
didn't bring
wrote.
me no book.
We meant to, actually. I'm going to blame it on...
I want to read your book.
I'm going to
How
send
many
it to you
books
guys.
published? 11?
Yeah, I've done, now this is 12 books because we have another one just coming out. But Choose Yourself and The Power of No, which I did with my
What's
beautiful
the
wife,
first one I
Claudia.
should read? Ice-T.
Choose Yourself.
Choose Yourself.
And then The Power of No. And I'm going to send you both.
The Power of No?
Yeah, because it's hard to say no, right?
Let me tell you a story. Can I tell you a quick story?
I want to hear it.
This is a true story. When I first became semi-successful, I'm making records and stuff like that, it was a time where I couldn't hold food down. I would eat and I would throw it up. I was so nervous. I had a nervous stomach.
What year was this? What were you doing?
This was back when I was doing, you know, Power album, my early rap albums. But, you know, I was overwhelmed with people, you know, wanting things. So I went to the doctor. I thought I had an ulcer, so I went to the doctor. The doctor, gastric guy went in, looked at me. He said, "No, your stomach is perfect." So he sent me down the hall to a psychiatrist that deals with athletes, an athlete psychiatrist. So the guy sits there. He says, "Ice, I'm a fan. I won't even charge you for this consultation." So he sits there and he says, "This is what I do. I got Major League Baseball players that are going through divorces, multi-million-dollar divorces, but they got to hit that ball that night. They got to learn how to compartmentalize and get things away from what they have to do." So he started asking me questions. He said, "What's your problems, Ice? It seems like you got problems." So I talked for 30 minutes. He goes, "Okay, I have a prescription for you." He wrote on a piece of paper, and he pushed it across the table to me. I opened it up. It said, "No." The power of no.
It's really true.
He said, "This 30 minutes, you didn't tell me about any of your problems. You told me all about your friends' problems. Mickey needs this. Shani Sean got this. My buddy's in prison. This, that needs it. But your life is great. You got a hit record out right now. You're doing good." He said, "You fought for that position to be good. You can't let their problems become your problems. You got to say no." He says, "When you say yes, you just took their problem and made it your problem." So say Mickey calls me up and says, "Ice, man, I need to get to the airport tomorrow, right? Will you take me?" I go, "Yes." I got to get the gas. I got to get the car. Now all he got to do is sit on his ass and wait on to get picked up. All the problems he had of getting to the airport on time have now become my problem. So I've learned creative ways to say no. I'm not the man right now. I'm sorry. Mickey knows getting a yes out of me is very difficult.
But that's great, but it takes a long time to learn, because not only your friends and family and colleagues and workers and bosses, but also society. Society tells you, oh, to be successful, you have to go to college. Or to be successful, you have to, own this type of car or this type of home. That we also have to say no to what society tells us. And then we have to say no to all these fears and anxieties we have inside of ourselves every day. Let's say you're worried about body count sales or tours or whatever. Everything comes up every day, and you have to say no on a deep level too. So there's all these layers of no, but you have your scripts that you build up over years. This is how I say no now to Mickey. So you figure it out.
Well, I just make it difficult to say yes, because I know when I do say yes, I am committed to it. I won't go back on my word.
I like what you say when you say yes, you're inheriting the other person's problems. That's a good way to think about it. I'm gonna steal that from you.
Okay, then you can steal that. You give me enough game. We're exchanging game here today. Right. It's okay, because it's so easy for someone to say, I can't pay my rent, and then you go, yeah, well, you just took their problem out of their hands, and you got to teach it to your kids. You got to teach it to everybody. So now what I'm very difficult to get a yes out of. A lot of times people will ask me stuff. I'll say, I got to think about it. I'm not sure. And because I know once I say, I never want to say yes and then turn around and say, I didn't mean it. I want to be sure about it. So, you've got a wealth of knowledge. I want to learn from you, because I always look at it like this. If you want a trainer in the gym, you can't pick a guy that's always been in shape his whole life. You got to pick somebody who was out of shape and then got in shape.
Right, exactly. And this is the thing. So I co-wrote that one with my wife, Claudia. We had for years, for decades, a hard time saying no in our different life situations. It's only when you fail at something, when something's hard for you, that's when you really learn. Like you said, you had a hard time for a long time saying no. Now you've learned how to say it in lots of situations.
Oh, it gave me high blood pressure and everything else.
Yeah, look, you were getting sick. You got physically sick because you couldn't say no. And that's the power of no. Once you can say it, you get healthy. Yeah. Look at the connection. You get healthy, you make money, you get find love, you get successful, you make friends, your friends appreciate your boundaries. Now when you pick someone up at the airport, they know this was a sacrifice
I had to teach Mickey how to say no. No. We got a print out P, we're trying to teach how to say no, right? Your turn.
It's a hard thing. And you know what you know what you can't really teach them. They have to learn on their own, because it's so powerful. No, words like no, words like help is another powerful one. A lot of people are afraid to say the word help. A lot of people are afraid to say you're right. Like, let's say we're at a discussion. You know, if I finally agree, it's hard to say you're right. You know, so
I love saying it. I'm you know, sometimes I have my opinion and stuff. Me and him were the other day talking about. He's like, don't use a navigator. Don't use a navigator. I'm like, look, man, I like to use the navigator. So of course I use the navigator. We end up in a damn traffic jam. I looked over him. I'm like, you're right. You were right. You were right. You were right. You were right, Mickey. Mick, you were so right.
Your quote was, why take a headache when someone else can do the job for you, man?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, let it may take you the long way, but guess what? You don't have to think about doing it.
It's
gonna get me there.
So 2 ways of looking at it.
You know,
but he was right that time, and I make sure I let people know when they're right, because I don't need, you know, I don't need a false win.
You know, and also stress will never ever solve tomorrow's problems, but it will always take away your energy today. It will always take energy from you today. Any kind of stress or anxiety.
I'm enjoying this podcast with you.
No, that's a jewel right there. Stress will never solve any of tomorrow's problems, but it'll take away your energy today.
And you need energy for what we all do, for what you do. You're about to go on tour.
To handle that problem, why cry over spilled milk? Yeah. When the milk spills, clean it up. Get it out of the way, and you won't have time to deal with it. So I think thinkers learn how, when there's a problem to come up, instead of stressing over it, their brain goes into how to solve this thing as quickly and expediently as possible. And sometimes you just have to accept certain things. You know, like we say it in the streets. We go, you charge that to the game. You know, that was a lesson you learned. You gotta charge that to the game, baby. That's nothing you could do about it. That was just a paid lesson. Like those nights you spent out, those weeks, you got to charge that to the game. You know what I'm saying?
It was hard, though, because for a long time, you regret. Like, I had to deal with a lot of regret. And, you know, my dad was sick at the time. I thought I could have saved him if I had only not lost that money. Yeah. So you live with this regret, but you can't. It's just the same thing as anxiety is like these forward things that will never help you. Regret are these past things that will never help you. You gotta just live right now and do the best you can.
We're gonna hang out. I'm coming to your podcast. You know, these are the things that we need in life, because, you know, your walking philosophy is how you operate, and these little jewels that you're saying can make life better.
Can make a difference.
You know,
can make a difference.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, we're going to continue with the podcast. James is here, and he's got a wealth of knowledge. Yeah. You guys should go get his books. Say the website one more time.
JamesAltucher.com, and the books are Choose Yourself and The Power of No.
And I'm going to read them, so I'm going to have an advantage.
But James, you got to spell your last name at least.
ALTUCHER.
Hey, yo, this is Final Level Podcast number 13 with James Altucher. We got my man Mick Benzo in the house, and this is music.
Oh, shit. Music is the key to life, baby.
Well,
woo!
The Body Count album's been out a week. We have over 450, probably by the time this thing comes out, about maybe 500,000 views on the Talk Shit Get Shot video.
That's on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not really happy with the sales right now. And, you know, we're in an area where, you know, years ago, you know, you might move 50,000, 100,000 copies in the first week, you know. Mm-hmm. And nowadays it's difficult to move records. And we were talking to James earlier, and he was saying that, you know, we're in a free society, and people, they'll love you. They're your fans, but they want things for free. What were you saying?
Yeah, your free audience is going to kill you, basically. Yeah. Once you start asking for money from them, they're like, whoa, where their loyalty is all gone. Oh. But that's happening in every area of entertainment. Like, you look at the numbers on TV shows, you're never going to get, like, the finale of Friends again with, like, 50 million people watching. You look at books, how many books sell more than a few thousand copies? It's the number, you know, is going down and down for every area of entertainment. Same thing with music. The only way, you tell me, the only way you can make money on music is nonstop touring.
Absolutely. And you know, when the record labels came out with the 360 deals where they want your merchandising and they want a piece of the touring and all that, you know, people are like, well, dang, you know, the record labels want so much, but it's almost the only way they can actually recoup.
Why do you do a deal with a label? Because it used to be the labels would get you in, like, Tower Records. Yeah. But now there's no Tower Records.
Yeah.
So why don't you just sell it on your own or sell it on Amazon or whatever?
It's complicated, but sometimes the record label might be the person that will give you the advance to help you record the album if it costs money. Also, they do provide maybe a little bit better marketing structure than you might have out of your own bedroom. You know, they can get you the Rolling Stone interviews and all that. They've got a good PR.
But can't you get yourself that? Like, can't you just call Rolling
Stone?
Still,
record labels still have an outlet for radio because you're playing. Let's just say you're playing. I'm just gonna make up. We're playing Kisser record. Let's just call it Kisser, right? I come out with a record, love it. I call that same program director, say, look, you're playing this record already. We already do a little bit of things for you. We take y'all on trips. I need y'all to put this in your.
They can leverage
so they
against
actually
another
can help
hit
you.
band.
When you're doing it independently, it's very, very hard to even get your record into a DJ's hand. So a record label still has the advantage, like Ice was saying, to get you those great interviews versus just Louie on the internet versus a Rolling Stone. Which one would you much rather do? Louie or Rolling Stone? I can get you Rolling Stone. I can get you on the Power 105, the Z100s, because it's still a record label. It still exists.
But you know what, James? The problem still remains. Whether you're absolutely indie or you're on a label, people aren't showing up to buy music as it stands. It's very, very difficult. So now you have to sell your T-shirts. You got a nonstop tour. You got to get in front of them because the live show is similar to like what you were saying about sports. You can't, it's hard to steal it. You have to witness it. You have to be there. So now, whereas we would go out on tour and you might be selling a shirt over here, what your record label wasn't concerned with. Now the record labels are the ones selling your shirts, and they're selling your CDs at the show. At the show, like point of purchase right there. So they're doing everything they can to actually move it. But with the pirating, with the MP3s and stuff like that, people can get their hands on the record. And it's almost at the day where music is actually free. And so Body Count, we're going out. We're leaving July 5th. We're going to go on the Rockstar Energy Drink Mayhem Fest across the country, 35 cities. We're going to play a big metal fest up in Montreal. Then we're going to do the Gorbecue, play with Gore down in Virginia and stuff like that. And we'll see if that generates more sales. But with 100% nothing but great reviews, fan reviews, the only way we're actually going to move numbers is for the fans to actually help push this record.
Well, I think the fans will help push when they see, as Jim said earlier, that live show.
Yeah.
They won't want to have a download. They're going to want the official record. They're going to want that album in their hands when they see what Body Count brings to them. Then they'll have more respect and love for the brand. They'll be like, you know what, I'll buy that. But when I listen to it or I see a YouTube, it's just a YouTube. I can download the song. So if I see it live, it may make me run out and buy the album.
So
we'll be on that Rockstar Mayhem Fest the whole tour.
We're also going to be on Conan O'Brien. We're going to do Conan O'Brien next week. And then we're also going to do Craig Ferguson.
Oh, yeah.
We did Jimmy Fallon. God bless Jimmy Fallon. You know, put us on NBC. They don't let metal or rock on NBC. They put us on. That's just my hats off to Jimmy Fallon. Those are millions and millions of people. So we're going to go out there. We're going to put our best effort forward to push what everyone says is an incredible album and stuff. And we're going to see, can we push up the numbers? But right now in the world we're in, if a record can sell 100,000 copies, that's like platinum.
Yeah. Yeah, because like Jim said, there's no Tower Records, you know, so it's just
I wonder if there's
Targets
something
now.
like you can do where you set up a site where if they buy it and enter in their order number, they get something free.
Oh, Ice is doing that on his tour.
Yeah, we're doing all kinds of stuff, but we might need to talk to you, hedge fund man, because we need to break this record business back open. And you
It's
know,
possible.
And you know what it is though, James. I trip off of we're a relatively established group. I wonder what it's like for the young cats that are out there just starting off. They got their little website up and they got a little fan base and stuff like that. It's got to be extremely hard.
But you know, some though, like you look at like Iggy Azalea, she comes just from YouTube, right? Or you know, some of these guys get like 90 million views on their records, and that's how they blow up.
Yeah, but that's pop.
I mean, on their videos.
But that's pop. See, if you step into the realm of pop music, then anything can happen. But if you're hardcore, if you're underground and stuff like that, see, it used to be a time where if your friend knew about the record, it wasn't cool. You know, when we were starting to sell rap, it was all word of mouth. Like, this is the 2 Live Crew. This is something you can't get. It's not on radio. Now, this new generation of kids, they feel like if it's not on the radio, it's not good.
Well, let me ask you about that. Like, you take the 80s when you were starting, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then you move to now. It feels like rap in general has moved from delivering a message to being pop, disguised
Absolutely.
by marketing.
Absolutely.
And how do you compete against that? Like, these guys got super marketers behind them, whereas you were starting out delivering a message. That doesn't exist anymore.
Only thing you can do is hope that you can create another trend. Is that you can create something that actually sticks into the fabric of the new artists out there, and they go, like, this is what we want to do now. We've had enough of this. When Body Count first came out, we were in the season of Public Enemy. We were in the season of Rage Against the Machine, groups of that nature. Those groups don't exist. But it's not like there's not a feeling out there that people are kind of fed up with the pop stuff right now. So somebody's got to kind of step out and say, hey, try this. You might like it. And, that's my job. That's my job, is to go out there and take the first lick and put out an album with some good stuff on it. And we'll see what happens. We have no fear. We've been here before.
Well, let me ask you again. And again, I'll say it on the podcast. I grew up on 6 a.m. in the morning.
Right,
So
right.
I was there. But why do it? You see the obstacles, and yet and there's no obstacles on your TV side. So you can just keep doing Law and Order. Why'd you decide to do another album and really kind of get back in the mess here?
It's just for the love of the music. It's just the love of the music. And it's also because, you can't just sit back and complain about stuff. You just can't sit back and say, oh, they're not doing this right, they're not doing this right. You gotta ante up. You gotta show them how to do it, or how you would do it, or how you feel it should be done. And music is always going to be something that's really dear to me. I tell people I act for the money. I make music to remain sane. So there's nothing like being able to make an album and go out and be in front of a live audience. So it's something I truly enjoy. It's like the theory of retirement. People say, well, stop. I'm like, what I do, you don't retire from. What I do, being in front of people, acting in movies, making music, you don't retire from that. God, those are dream jobs. You retire from the jobs you think sucks, and you're just making the money, and you're like, fuck it, I can't wait to cash out on this and quit. But what I do, people that have incredible amounts of money wish they could do. That's like this. I would love to just be able to walk on stages and rock crowds.
Mick and I are gonna start our own group. We're gonna learn rap.
Oh yeah.
I've always wanted to. Since seeing you in Breakin', I wanted to. So
well, you can create your own. You can create your own hype if you got enough loot. But that's basically what we're saying. In the music business, it is hard to sell records right now, but Body Count is going to keep chugging away. Thank you for all the people that have supported the record, and we're going to keep selling records till the wheels fall off. One other thing I like to say is that Twitter. People have this belief that Twitter is the save-all to any type of promotion. The record labels now feel like, well, tweet this, tweet that. People are always asking me to tweet stuff. Twitter is a very interesting machine because whatever you say, say you got I got like 500,000 followers.
Right.
When I do it, probably 80 people see it because it's only the people that are watching that Twitter at that moment on that feed.
Right. If you tweet something, I'll bet you there's probably 10 sales. For 500,000 followers, I bet you sell 10 records per tweet.
Right.
So,
right.
Correct.
Right. Or less.
I like that.
And when you tweet, if your followers are following, say, 500 people, their timeline is flying like a ticker tape. It's flying.
It just drops down.
They can't even see who's tweeting. Mm-hmm. So it's a theory of you're not ever hitting 500,000 people. You're hitting the people that happen to be looking at Twitter at that split second that tweet goes up. So a lot of people have a real bent reality based on Twitter. Twitter is not the end all to promotion.
No.
It's nothing. It's a chat room that kind of moves and moves as people. It's like a one big chat room that everyone's talking simultaneously in. And you might pick up a message in the midst of all this chatter, but nothing too important. All right? And that was music. This is Final Level Podcast number 13. Ice-T, James I'll Touch You, and Mick Benzo here, the wonderful Mick Benzo, the world's famous Mick Benzo. And this is the segment we call Philosophy.
Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be
Because we have another philosopher here.
James and Ice, this is going to be
The philosophy segment comes from my Twitter feed, which is at Final Level, and I do this thing called the Daily Game, which is just my daily philosophy. And yesterday I posted one that says, life is hard for everybody. And there's an illusion we live under that somebody has it easier, whether they got more money or they come from this family or that. But every human being has their own deck of problems. You know, I go through them sometimes when I'm in my sleep. I'm thinking about this. I'm worried about my kid. I'm worried about this. Maybe your health. All of us have our own deck of problems. No one is living stress-free. It's just part of life. And I think one thing that amplifies your stress is thinking somebody else doesn't have the problem. And that's why, like, if you deal with, like, people that are, say, alcoholics, they put you in a group of people that have the similar problems so you don't feel alone. I think that loneliness amplifies the problem, especially, say, young kids, young girls like your daughter going through high school. They're going through problems. They think, I'm the only one in the world dealing with this problem. And that amplifies the problem. No, you're not. And so every time I get in a problem, like, I'm not the only person going through this. You know, a lot of people are dealing with this. And I got to learn how to deal with it. I mean, how do you feel about it, James?
That's why it's such a well. Two things. One is, what's the worst punishment when you go to jail? Solitary confinement. They know that after a few days, at first you think, you know, and I've never been to jail, so I'm just
right. You're right, though.
But at first you think, oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to be by myself for a couple days, think things out. But the reality is, you're going to go crazy in solitary confinement. You can't be by yourself. And the other thing is so important to emotional health. You're the average of the 5 people you have around you. So you always want to be around 5 people you love and respect and who love and respect you. And that's how you keep your health up. That's how you keep your sanity up. You can't fight the stress, but you can at least reduce it. Time heals all wounds, but you can reduce the time.
And it all boils down to perspective. And when you're going through these issues and stuff, you're always like, man, you know, this is the worst it could be, or this is it, this is that. And getting around somebody who's been through the same situation helps mend you. You know, if I'm going through something terrible and Mickey has been through it, he is basically the one, man, I've been through it. And he can help walk me through the problem. That isolation you're talking about, that point where I just go, I'm the only one and no one else is going through that, that just takes it to this scary place, you know? So one of my mom, they used to say is that if everyone you knew was in a room and we all threw our problems up in the air, I bet you'd reach for yours on the way down. Because you have a grip on your problems. You understand it. You don't really know my problem is. You know, I might think Mickey's living better than me, and I reach down, and when I grab his problem, somebody's out to kill him. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Or he picks mine up, and it's cancer. You don't know. And I always used to say, people want other people's money, but not their life. You know, you can easily say, I would like to have Bill Gates' money. But do I want to be Bill Gates? No, I want to be Ice-T with Bill Gates' money. We like who we are.
And again, like, money is just a side effect of living a good life.
Absolutely.
And I realize everyone's got to pay the bills. They need money to do that. But that comes from living a good, healthy life in all these different ways. I'll tell you one interesting statistic. The average kid in America laughs 300 times a day. The average adult in America laughs 5 times a day.
Wow.
So something happened between childhood and adulthood that took away all the laughter. And that's what we really need to do to bring back into our lives, to help reduce it. Can't get rid of the stress, can't stop wanting what we don't have, but we can at least laugh more, and that will help.
Well, I also break down life. I break it down into what you need and what you want. There's two different worlds, what we need. And until you have what we basically need, then it's hard to be creative. So, people need shelter. People need basic food, right? And it's good to have companionship. Those are things we need as humans to function. If you can get those three things, then we can get creative and stuff. But when your brain doesn't have one of those three things, it's in a whole nother survival stage,
right.
Which, one of my records in the Body Count, I said survival makes you bloodthirsty. When people don't have those three things, it's hard to be artistic and creative because you don't have a place to live, or you're hungry, or, you have no friends, So if you have those things, then it's basically what do you need? You need a roof, you need a few pairs of clothes, you need food, right? Mm-hmm. That's all you really need.
What's probably like on the borderline between needs and wants is a sense of achievement. So at some point, for instance, you decided in your life, you know what? I love rap and I want to get good at it and I want to get known for it. And that became a need just as much as a want. So I feel there's some things that are in the gray area.
Absolutely. Even with my wife, she's gone off to do projects, side projects and stuff. And it might not seem too big to me, but that win, that success makes her a better person, makes it easier to live with. It makes her happy. You're the star, and your wife, she needs wins too. We all need these wins. So that's why it's good to support your kids and support your family and your mate, because you just can't be the only one that wins.
That's really important because you could always say to her, hey, you help and support me, so that's something that's really big. But she still needs her own thing to win at. Yes.
Her own win. And the last thing I always tell people is I say that everyone needs their own art that's 100% them. This is a form of sanity. So going back to your music, it's like being in a TV show, they're telling me what to say, they're telling me what to do. But to create something, whether it's making a sound, maybe it's cooking, or maybe it's photography, or whatever. Maybe it's this podcast. You need something that you invented, that's your thing, that's 100% you, and that's that victory that helps your brain stay sane. And, that's what I get out of music. That's 100% me. Now, if I wrote the movie and I directed the movie, like I did The Art of Rap, I got that same thing. But wins are important in kids' lives, in mates' lives, in friends' lives. Everyone, you're right. You need those wins.
And this is part of avoiding that isolation. Helping them get those wins makes you feel good. Keeps you in the community with them, with the people you love.
Oh yeah. I mean, definitely. There is a great joy in taking people where they've never been. I always explain it like going to the amusement park. If you've been once, it's only fun taking somebody that's never been. Then you get that, or I take Mickey. Mickey wanted me to see this Mike Tyson thing, so he gets me on. And while I'm watching, he watching me. He wants to see me enjoy what he enjoyed. We do it with food too. Mm-hmm. When I'm having something good, taste this. So humans basically do want to share happiness. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, don't get caught up in the illusion that somebody's not going through problems. Just accept the fact that stress and problems are part of the game. It's just part of it. It comes with life. You're never going to get to a place where you won't have stress issues and things around you that make you feel uncomfortable. You just have to kind of learn to live with it. It's just part of life. There's no destination where they stop. Mm-hmm. I think there's no money you can get where all your problems stop. You've had more money than most people ever have. It didn't stop. Like Puffy said, more money, more problems. Sometimes it gets crazier. A lot of times people will become very successful and go, man, it was better before. Couples, when they were just staying in that one-room apartment, they were just living on top of each other, loving every day. Now they're in business and they don't see each other anymore. And they go, wow, was better before we got off. Because they say material things start to own you. Okay, so that was philosophy. Life is hard for everyone. We all have our own deck of stress cards. Everybody on earth. Look, James and I have been dropping a lot of game on this episode, and the thing is that you don't necessarily have to simply learn from your mistakes. You can soak up game from those who've already lived it. I used to always say, dumb people learn from their mistakes. Smart people learn from other people's mistakes. The most valuable thing that James and I have to offer isn't our money. It's the advice that we have utilized to make us successful. And we give that game away in our podcasts and in our books. That's why you need to listen to audiobooks on Audible. You can listen to your favorite audiobooks on any device, your computer, tablet, Android, or iPhone. WhisperSync even lets you switch devices and save your bookmarks so you can pick up where you left off each time so you don't miss a word. It even lets you switch between listening and reading so you can go back and forth between your Kindle and the audiobook without losing your place. Don't forget, if you order an audiobook from Audible and decide early that it sucks, you can call them up and they'll let you swap it out for another book free of charge. Audible is the world's leading provider for audiobooks with over 150,000 titles. They literally have everything, including my book, Ice, a memoir of gangster life and redemption, James Altucher's Choose Yourself, and The Power of Now. Now that's the business. For a free audiobook and a 30-day trial, go to audible.com/iced. That's audible.com/ICET. You'll be saving money and you'll be helping to keep this podcast free. Thanks again to Audible. Right now, you're listening to the Final Level Podcast number 13, and this is TV. What you watching on TV now, Mickey?
Well, right now, watching one of my favorite movies, I Dream of Jeannie.
He watches old TV.
I have an animation cell from the original sequence, the original cartoon sequence.
I Dream of
signed
Jeannie.
by Barbara Eden.
Sexy.
Oh, Barbara Eden was the finest of all.
I have to say, my wife's here right now, so I can't talk too much about it. But Barbara Eden, I even would say to myself, what would Major Nelson do right here?
But you
So
know,
that was my motto.
Barbara Eden was fine, but you know who else was fine from back in them
Oh,
days?
Bewitched was fine too.
No,
baby.
nowhere near Ellie Mae
Oh man.
from Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh shit. Well, you might as well be at the Dukes of Hazzard. I love my
Ellie Mae.
damn-
All right, look, we're having
All
our
Yeah,
child
this is my
fantasy,
TV thing. This is my
our
TV thing.
sex
No, wait,
girls.
Thelma on Good Times.
So
you was
he went black.
You was in love with a black
that was
woman.
Thelma was healthy.
That was up there with Barbara Eden for me.
You know what I've been watching? I've been watching. You know, I told you I like Snap.
Right. Snaps. Right.
Coco watches Snap. Snap's a show we've talked about. It's about women killing their husbands. I figured, well, if she's watching it, I goddamn better be watching it so I can understand some of these techniques. They poison them, hang them, cut them up, do all kinds of stuff. They got another show called Snap Killer Couples.
Snap Killer Couple.
Yeah. So in other words, it's a boyfriend and a girlfriend, a husband and wife that goes on some kind of wild sex murder binge. And it's crazy.
And it's real? Like they
That comes
find
on.
these?
What
It's
channel
real
that
shit.
comes on?
Oxygen Network. And it's sick.
Oh, that's
Put it into
ladies.
Yeah.
So the Oxygen Network was like the network originally for women,
ladies.
by women.
Yeah,
and
Oxygen
it's
for
all about
ladies.
like murder.
Oh my God.
Murder, She Wrote.
Well, you know, me being on SVU, I do know that, you know, in as far as abuse goes, the bigger percentage is men beating their wife. All right, that's the bigger percentage.
Domestic violence.
Right. But the bigger percentage is women killing their husband.
That's domestic violence,
Women
too.
kill us more.
But that's in defense, right?
Yeah, that's their defense. So in other words, the guy that's going on hitting his wife, she got something for him, and it ain't another punch. Mm-hmm. It's a knife. It's an axe. It's something. But they kill him
Because the guy's 50 pounds heavier on
Exactly.
average, so she can't. A punch is not going to work.
She got to burn him up. She got to hurt him worse.
So one of your quotes a long time ago, you say you might as well be angry with a bag of dope. At least it won't wake up and kill you. If you're mad with that woman.
Yeah. On this show, a guy and a girl, they go out, they decide they want to just go on a crime spree. It's all one of them was actually based on Natural Born Killers, the movie, but it's wild. It's called Snapped Killer Couples. If you're into something weird and crazy, tune into that. Another show I've been watching is The American Ninja Warrior. Now, there was a show called Ninja Warrior that was on G4 TV. They do it in Japan.
That was a game show?
It's a obstacle course.
Okay.
Where they would run it, and it's 4 stages or 3 stages, and then they have to get up to the top of this thing called Mount Meteori or some shit. They brought it to the United States, and it's fun to watch.
So it's similar like Wipeout then, like a Wipeout.
Wipeout is kind of more silly.
Okay.
Wipeout is silly. This is real. You
Real
got Olympic
obstacles.
athletes trying to win this, and all kinds of parkour runners, and all these guys that are in gyms, and women too. And you'll look at it and realize how much you're not in shape.
What an obstacle.
Yeah. I'm a little older than a lot of participants. I think I can do some of the obstacles, but not all of them. They got them hanging by their fingertips and doing stuff. But I advise it. This is an ICE advice. Check out American Ninja Warrior. I think that's on the Esquire network. I think it is actually coming on NBC too. But it's something
That's
fun.
why you promoting it, because it's coming on NBC.
I don't
You
get
think
no money
you
for
slick.
that.
You think
I don't
you
get no
slick.
motherfucking money
To
from
push
NBC.
all that NBC shit up.
I'm not pushing
Jimmy
no
Fallon, Law and Order.
No. I push SVU. I push SVU because I'm on the goddamn show. I push Jimmy Fallon because that's my motherfucking nigga, and he put me on the show with my group.
And he's doing a great job, by the way.
Yeah.
Jimmy's good. Jimmy's good.
Jimmy's cool. As far as the rest of the network, no, I'm not pushing the network because that doesn't benefit me. I'm just pushing good shows. And American Ninja Warrior and Snap Killer Couples, put them in your DVR and tell them I sent you. That was TV. It's Final Level Podcast number 13 with Mick Benzo. James, I'll touch you. We in here talking philosophy, all kind of great things.
Oh,
And
education today on this podcast.
yeah, right now we're about to go into movies.
Oh,
now,
shit.
we're only going to talk about one movie. This one is called Think Like a Man. Now, it's coming out this week. It's directed by Tim Story.
They may not know who Tim Story is.
Tim Story has directed a lot of the movies by Kevin Hart that Kevin Hart has been in. He also directed Fantastic Four, but he was also a member of one of the early Rhyme Syndicate rap groups, TDF. Anybody that has the old Rhyme Syndicate album, Rhyme Syndicate coming through, he was a rapper named MC Taste. He went to USC. He got a film degree, and he's now one of the big Hollywood directors. He's out there, and his movie is debuting. Now, I have a personal reason I want to promote this movie is because Coco has a cameo in it.
See, now that's news.
That's news. Coco has a cameo in it with Kevin Hart.
What does she do?
She's in this. It happens in
Don't
Las
tell
Vegas.
James.
It
The movie comes out.
It
You gotta go
happens in
see
Las
it.
Vegas while Coco was out there doing her burlesque show, Peep Show. And it's kind of like real time. These guys kind of come into the place where she is, and they kind of cross, But she plays Coco in the actual movie.
Think like a man.
But we're gonna go see the premiere. I want to make sure I don't miss. I hope she didn't hit the cutting room floor. I'm doing all this promotion. I'll tell you a funny story. I went to see this movie. And there was this guy sitting in front of me, and I'm like, yo, you in this movie? He goes, yeah, we're at the premiere. He's like, yeah, I'm the rapper in the club. I'm in the rapper in the club. Yeah. So he all ready. So when they showed it, it was the movie 50 Cent was in with Robert De Niro. Anyway, when they showed the scene, you only seen his feet. Right? Like the camera never panned up to the stage, so you seen his knees, and you heard somebody else rapping, but that was it. So I'm sitting right behind him. So when the movie's over, he didn't turn around. He just got up and he walked out, and I politely didn't say anything to him.
They had him in a fishbowl.
So go see Think Like a Man. Coco's in it. Say no more.
And that was movies. Oh, man. You know what's really big in sports today?
World Cup.
The World Cup. I mean, listen, USA is doing a thing in that soccer. That's soccer. Woo! You got to play it.
Football.
That's football, but it's soccer. You know, we
call it soccer. Yeah.
They call it football, but it's
But they're
really,
lying.
really big. No, they're not lying. They're using their head.
They use their foot.
They're using their feet and head, arms.
We're just socking it.
They socking it to them.
But do you think the United States really has a chance against, the big wigs like Brazil and the heavyweights?
Yeah, we very athletic, man. Our teams are very athletic. They're not just sit around and watch the game. These guys really know how to play the game. They really know how to play the game. And the World Cup is so big. I mean, even when we had the NBA championship with, San Antonio Spurs and Miami Heat, it overpowered that, even though San Antonio tore that ass up, though. They tore their ass up.
Soccer is the most popular sport in the world, and because it's something that's played universally, it's played by countries. Our teams are states. These are countries playing against each other. And that's why when you see those big soccer riots, that's like war. That's like a war. They're dead serious about that. So, peace goes out to all the World Cup people out there, soccer fans that are deeply off into it. I'm a playoffist. I get into sports during the playoffs. I don't watch the whole seasons, but I watch the end of the World Cup. I'm right there with you. I'm also a playoffist when it came to the Stanley Cup.
Okay, you talking about hockey?
Yeah, exactly.
I had to play hockey.
Listen. I enjoy hockey. I've gone to many a hockey game. Hockey is more fun when you get to see it live.
It's cold in them damn arenas,
but it's fast. It's fast.
But we don't play hockey. How can you like hockey though?
Because black people like hockey, nigga, and black people. That somebody said that to me on Twitter. They said, "Well, black people don't like hockey." I'm like, "Well, that's like saying white people don't like basketball." Just because it's 90% black people out on the court doesn't mean white people don't like it.
True.
Hockey is a fun sport. I think it's an acquired taste. Like, all you got to do is go to one game and you'll become a fan.
You know what it probably is too, though? We don't have those in our community centers. We have basketball, we got
Right.
baseball, we got football. We don't have hockey because we ain't got no skating rings.
Yeah, we don't have swimming pools. You know what I'm saying? We don't have tennis courts sometimes.
Okay,
too.
why don't you have swimming pools?
Because it's
How
space.
could they make a basketball court and not a swimming pool?
Let's be real, James. It's easier to put a tar down than to dig out a pool.
All right, fair enough.
My pool in my house just cost me a fortune. Okay, cost me a fortune. I wish I could have put a basketball court down for $40.
Yeah.
So people tend to lean toward the sports that they could play. Now, but then when all of a sudden we see somebody that we can connect to, we'll get into the sport. When Tiger Woods got off into golf and all of a sudden started winning, a lot of black kids, a lot of urban kids said, "Hey, I want to pick up a golf club and get out there and play." So a lot of things, somebody has to do it that you can connect to. And now there is a black hockey player that's out there checking people and stuff. But at the end of the day, I just watch the sport. Well, and I'm watching the Kings.
Right.
I'm from L.A.
Right. Los Angeles Kings.
Playing
my New York Rangers, where I thought at least I can get one team out the season to bring something home. And I couldn't even do it with the damn New York Rangers.
The Kings was out there. The Rangers gave them a real run for their money. But the night of the final game, it went into double overtime. And I think the world kind of had their eyes just on that game, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. A lot of people was like, man, I didn't really know hockey was that good.
I ain't gonna front. I watched it. I thought it was just as intriguing as basketball. But see, the thing about it, James, is what we're trying to say to our audience is, don't think that a sport is something that you couldn't understand because you don't know about it. You have to watch the sport or find someone who knows about the sport that is, I guess, your character, your color, because realize sports is sports. You know what I mean? So you can say, oh, it's a white sport, it's a black. A sport is a sport.
Anybody can play it.
But here's the other thing about sports. You have to watch it live or in real time.
Right.
In real time. Think about every other piece of entertainment, even this podcast. You're going to put this podcast up on a certain date. 5 months later, someone can listen to it and still be interested. But a sport has to be watched in real time. It's one of the few pieces of entertainment left that is valuable because it's only real time. So that's special about sports.
You're right. Watching a replay of a basketball game isn't as much fun.
And then
because
it's exciting, yes.
No, and I talked to Mark Cuban about this. How do you value the Dallas Mavericks? And it's because the value goes up every day because every other piece of entertainment could be watched later except for sports.
That's a jewel right there.
Yeah.
That's a jewel. See, this man is going to teach us a lot of things today. I can see that. But anyway, my hat goes off to the New York Rangers. They gave the Kings a run for the money, but I got to throw up that W for the West Side on this one, Mickey.
I ain't
you know
mad
what I'm
at
saying?
you, man. You know what? It's called competition.
The Kings
Your team
won.
was a little better than mine this year, but we'll see them next year.
You know, as rappers, we've been rocking the Kings outfit for years. You know,
Rhyme
Easy
Syndicate.
Rock.
Yeah,
we had the Kings hat on back in the day, so it's a good look, black and gray, just like the Raiders.
Yeah.
Shouts go out to all the Stanley Cup participants, and take some time if you're not into hockey. See if you can go to a game. I guarantee you'll enjoy it once you're down there by the ice.
Wait, why in LA is it all black and gray? Like here it's like blue, red, white.
Orange.
We're like patriotic.
Yeah,
in
we
New
got
York.
colors over here. We got your record over here, colors.
What's black and gray? There's not even a cloud in LA. How do you even know what gray
I
looks
don't know.
like?
I think the Kings actually stole it from the Raiders. The Raiders came in with that hardcore black and gray, and then I think the Kings kind of ripped them off and stole it. But look, don't worry. The Lakers got on some happy ass purple and yellow. I don't know where that came from. So we got our colors too, and that was sports. This is one of the favorite segments of the Final Level Podcast. People seem to really appreciate this one, and I invented this. This one is called "I'm Not a Hater, but I Hate Shit." Now, the definition of a hater is someone who's jealous or envious of somebody, you know. This is not that. This is things that just fucking bother me, okay? And I hate commercial airlines, okay? I've been very fortunate in my life that I've been able to fly private occasionally. Certain times I'll take a private jet. But once you've flown private and you go back to commercial, it's a nightmare. First, you got TSA. I always leave something at the TSA thing, my phone or something. I always have to double back and run through the goddamn airport. And then you get to the airline, and
It's an annoying situation. They used to give you something to eat on the goddamn plane. Now they give you a bag of peanuts and give
No
you a cup
blanket.
of soda.
And you got to pay for that, and you got to pay to check your luggage. And from
Come on, the
American
luggage
Airlines.
costs more than the goddamn sandwich cost. You charge me for the luggage, and you want to charge me unless I'm in first class. Other than that, if you riding back there in coach,
They charge you for
give you
everything.
a bag of peanuts for an 8-hour flight, and then charge you for food, and barely want to give you the can of soda that they got for free anyway.
You know, the problem is because of all the new stuff with the TSA, more people are opting to drive. So car fatalities have actually spiked up much higher than plane fatalities.
How about that?
You actually have more car deaths because of all the extra things happening bad for planes.
But back in the day, you get on a plane, people, you know, it was nice, you know, that now that flight attendants used to have stewardesses, they, you know, they try to take care of you, they cared about you. Now they throw you a pillow. They might not even have a pillow, like we're out of pillows. And I'm fortunate, okay, at least I do get to fly business or first class. They're giving you some experimental food.
Oh, and what's in the food? You don't even know how many like flights they've been storing it. Like some of that food is bad, and they don't really clean those planes in between flights. Like there's a lot of scary statistics about what goes on in between flights on those planes.
Would you allow that to happen to you, James? You just go out and get you a damn private jet off of Teterboro.
Well, you know, unfortunately, here's the thing about commercial air. This is the one thing you have to say.
You're safer.
You're safer, and in 6 hours I can get to California. Like that's for the first time in the evolution of the human species, I can go 3,000 miles in 6 hours. So I'm grateful too for commercial air. I don't hate it as much, although I do agree.
I just hate the way they're able to treat you. They're able to treat you in a way that, you know, you have no recourse. You know, if they decide they cancel your flight. Say, for instance, you got to get to work.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you an example. We were in Chicago. I sat at the airline terminal from 10 in the morning till 9 at night. They canceled every flight. I had to be at work on Monday. I had to find a flight that would get me to Washington, D.C. I ended up flying into Washington, D.C., renting a car, and having to drive back. Now, of course, people listening, why don't you just charter a plane? Why don't you have your own private plane? People don't understand how much it actually costs to charter planes and to fly private. An average private plane costs $5,000 an hour to keep in the air, and bigger if you go to the G5s and the G6. You can spend up to $50,000 to $60,000 one way across the United States. And Mickey, you know, you've worked for a lot of groups. There's no way to blow money quicker than private
jet, paying Captain Mike. Whoa.
And you know, to own a private jet, you're talking like $100 million. Like you have to have, and that's like spare change lying around.
Yeah.
You know, particularly if you're getting the G5 level.
Yeah, it's very, very, very expensive. So a lot of times, you know, that's why you always see celebrities, including myself, taking pictures. They might never take a picture, but they take a picture by that jet. And when you're in that jet, I'm about to post one tomorrow. You know, you definitely show that because it is something that's special. And very few people own their own jets.
Right.
You know, people lease time on the jets. But you were saying that it's starting to become cheaper because with the Uber type of jets.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is, and it hasn't really fully happened yet, but there's going to be an Uber of jets. So you need to get, let's say, to Florida, and you contact whatever it is, Uber jet, and they say, oh yeah, we have a seat on a private jet open if you can get to Teterboro in 45 minutes. And you just go. I think that's
maybe we
going
need
to
to start that company.
It's possible. I haven't seen it started yet.
If I could start Uber jets, maybe I could get a seat because I own part of the company.
Yeah, there you go. You get special treatment.
It's one of the few pieces of the Rubik's Cube I don't have yet is private air flight. I mean, it's definitely an extreme luxury, but you know, when you think about it, okay, if we fly private tomorrow, we're gonna fly to Arizona, right? So we got a good price. We'll get in the car. They'll take us to Teterboro. We'll get on the plane. It'll drop us off. Blah. You got no TSA, nothing. The plane will wait there for you. You're not nobody looking all in your face. We get to bring our dogs on the plane. It's a beautiful experience. It's just extremely expensive.
Well, I tell you one thing. I love riding private.
Yeah, well, you know, and even Jay-Z, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, Justin Bieber, they don't own their own jets.
No. They doing exactly what you're doing. You're leasing it for that length of time, whatever you're working with. Nobody, like you just said, it's $100 million.
Yeah,
and that's just owning it. Now you have to maintain
you gotta store
it. Now you can't put it in your backyard.
Hey.
I mean, I said when he had bought a boat, he said, man, you know, two happiest times you get a boat.
The day you buy it.
First time you buy it.
And the day you sell it.
Second time you sell it, man.
That's why I don't like to own anything. Nothing is gonna hold me down. It's fine for anybody who wants to own things. Like, but I don't like to own anything that's gonna handcuff me.
Well, you got to think about your wife because they say if it flies, fucks, or floats, you rent it. Okay.
No, it's true. I don't own my wife, but she owns me, so
all right.
That's okay.
That's one of the rules. But you know, I fly commercial, and it's one of the moments where you know we might get a ticket, and they like, okay, we got you guys tickets. They got me sitting over here. They got my wife sitting way on the other side. Then you got to negotiate with the people to try to move your shit. You know, the flight attendants.
And let me guess, anybody sitting next to Coco, no one wants to exchange seats with you.
Hell no, the most drooly, grizzly old man who wants to sleep on her titty or something, he's laying up there. It's just a trip. But I think commercial airlines could do a little bit better. I think they have such an attitude of you're here because you can't do it any other way, so fuck you. If you really were somebody, why don't you have your own plane? And therefore, we're going to treat all y'all motherfuckers like shit. Let me give one thumbs up. Virgin Air. Richard Branson's airline is the closest thing to a luxury aircraft. And then some of the ones that go to Singapore. Like big
Cathay
ones.
Pacific.
Yeah.
Emirates.
Yeah.
So all those international ones.
Yeah, they lay it out. The Emirate one, they lay it out. Yeah. Virgin Atlantic, they lay it out. They got people giving you, you can get manicures and shit on the motherfucker. I mean, they have it.
Yeah, hot towels every 5 minutes.
Really nice. But when you're local in the United States, you might not make it. anywhere you plan on going, you better have a day for that 2-hour trip, because that shit's gonna get canceled, and they're gonna look at you like you be talking to the lady like, did they just cancel my flight? She'll just drop the mic and turn and walk off from me. Like,
don't even pay you any attention. So the moral of the story is, we're not a hater,
but I hate commercial
hate that shit.
Now, guys, the reason I really hate commercial airlines is because unless you fly private, which is expensive as hell, there's almost nothing you can do to take travel into your own hands, and most importantly, take control of the situation. Frankly, on the podcast, we would probably have a hater segment on websites too if I hadn't discovered Squarespace. Squarespace makes the process of building a beautiful website available to everyone at the utmost ease. I can't tell you how many people, including Jamie Jasta, my homeboy from Hatebreed, have told me that they have never seen me with a website as dope as Ice-T, FinalLevel.com, and I owe that all to Squarespace. For a free trial with no credit card required, just go to squarespace.com. When you're blown away and ready to confirm a plan, use the offer code ICE and get 10% off. You'll be getting a great deal, supporting the podcast, helping to keep it free. That's SQUARESPACE.com, offer code ICE. Hey, listen, don't forget to send your Squarespace sites to us at iceandmick@gmail.com, and we might even talk about them on the show. That's squarespace.com, offer code ICE. Please support them since they're supporting us. Okay, yo, this is the Final Level Podcast number 13, and this is news. Right now, the last time we had a podcast, we had the terrible news that Tracy Morgan was in an accident. Today, we can say that he has moved from critical condition to fair condition. And that's a great thing, because when someone's in critical condition, you never know what that means. They could come out of it paralyzed. You could lose a limb. And we don't want anything like that to happen. I mean, my man was minding his business in the back of basically a limo van, and gets rear-ended by a semi, and come to find out, they say that the driver of that semi had been driving for 24 hours.
See, what kills me, though, Ice, is when they say that, is like, how the hell you know I've been driving for 24 hours? And then how you going to tell me I fell asleep behind the wheel?
Well, they
don't know that.
Yeah, they do know that, because he has to log in. He has to log in. As a driver, they have logs that they have to fill out every time they go through checkpoints. They have to, there's actual...
The wait stations.
There actually is a computer now that some of the drivers are using that they have to log in on, that will not allow them to drive, because legally I think they can only drive 12 hours.
See, and that's why he says he falls asleep, because he's going to blame his company when they charge him.
Mm-hmm.
So it says if he was awake, then he has no excuse.
Right,
he just rear-ended some guy.
He just fought.
But I'm asleep because the other guy.
Yeah, I blame that, and I blame my company for making me drive for 24 hours, so it's not my fault.
Just to deliver your goods.
Yeah, so it's a bunch of drama. At the end of the day, we're glad that Tracy is in fair condition. That's my dude. We share the same name and initials. And I asked Mickey and them about news today, and ain't no other news.
Ain't no news.
Ain't no news.
It's more gossip.
They were telling me some gossip from the war.
But we don't talk gossip on
war
our
gossip.
podcast. Yeah,
war gossip.
Come on, man.
Well, one of the guys in Iraq was saying he was embarrassed about something. I'm like,
man.
Come on, man. They're at war. How do you get embarrassed?
And that was a general.
A general got embarrassed.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So until there's some real news, we're not even going to bring y'all no news, because we don't do gossip on the Final Level Podcast. Tracy's in fair condition. That was news. Hey, you're talking to Ice-T, Mick Benzo, and James. I'll touch you. You want to talk to us? What's happening? Who's this?
Yo, what's up, Ice? What's going on, fellas? This is Jake Wilson.
Where you at, Jake? Where you calling from?
I'm at Carmel, Indiana. I wanted to talk to you, Ice. You were an Army Ranger, right?
Yes, sir.
What do you think about what's going on in Iraq right now, with possibly going back to war with them? And I just wanted to see, what were your thoughts, on what's going on over there right now?
Well, the problem is when you're in the Army, basically, you could be deployed at any minute. You're like the police. Of course, us being the United States, we're like the police of the world. So, at any moment, our politicians can make a decision to send people to correct whatever problem they think is going on in the world. My allegiance is with the soldiers, not the politics. I mean, most of the kids that are in the military are 19, 20, 21, and they're willing to risk their lives for patriotism and whatever the United States believes in. I just hope the United States as a government really makes the correct decisions and doesn't send any of our troops in harm's way when it's not absolutely needed. You understand what I'm saying? Because none of the guys making those calls are actually going to go out there, as we say in the military, downrange. They're not going to go downrange. They're going to send somebody else down there, and it's a very easy call to make. So I just have to hope they make the right decisions.
Yeah, man, I'm just thinking, is it really even possible for us to, create a stable government over there that can, police the area, It's trying to erase thousands of years of history. That place is just wild over there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think so. Personally,
I don't think so either, but
I don't really know why we continue to do it. We'll go over there, we'll have a situation, and then we'll leave, and it'll just go back to the way it was. The Middle East is always going to be in turmoil. It's been like that since biblical times. It's just a wild place.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, good luck with the tour and everything, man. I hope all goes well. I hope the record sales are. I'm sure they're pretty good, but I hope everything goes well with y'all. I love the podcast, man. Thanks for answering the question.
Thank you for calling. Peace. This is Ice-T, podcast number 13. Who am I talking to?
No way. No, this is Vlad from the rainy city, Seattle.
Seattle? Is it raining?
Nah, not right now, actually. It's pretty sunny out here. It's a pretty nice day. Surprising.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, man. My question is, because I know James Altucher, I don't know if he's going to do his QA session today, because I like to participate in that. But Ice-T, actually, from your perspective, I don't know if anybody ever asked you this, but how has your perspective changed as a businessman? Maybe my age, I'm 23 right now, but maybe in 10 years, or so. How's your perspective changed?
I don't know. You just become, as you get older, you just become more methodical. It's just, you're just not as emotional. You understand that sometimes slow and steady wins the race. I always say it's not about how fast you go forward. It's about not going backwards. James knows a lot about going backwards.
Very true.
If you could keep a slow progression forward.
I feel like somehow you avoided a lot of the crap that I went through. Like, how did that happen?
Because probably the crap that happened to you would have killed me. You know what I'm saying? What happened with me is business-wise, I really realized early in the game that I don't need an extreme amount of money to have a good time and have a good life. So I was very comfortable just finding my niche, doing my thing. I live in a small apartment. I don't need mansions and stuff. And I'm happy. I pretty much can do everything I want. Business-wise, you just have to realize that most of the people you're going to come in contact with will be crooks and liars and cheaters. And you have to weed through all them because it's just very hard to find honest people in business.
It's so true.
Well, I think the natural question I come up with is then, how do you, weave through? How do you separate the crooks from the real people?
I'll say one strike and you're out. Like, don't give people too many chances to rip you off. Give them a small chance. Give them something to feed on at first. And if they snap it off too quickly and rip you off, then that's it.
Yeah. And it's interesting, though, because the people that really have a lot of talent are less criminal. People that are confident about themselves and really have talent, they're not the ones. It's the people that are on the sidelines and they know they got to take it right now and they got to get it and it might be their last chance. Those are the more wicked ones, You know, I've been ripped off left and right, but I don't really trip because I know I'll be able to create something else wonderful. So I'm not as scandalous, you know, but I met people on the sidelines that'll just, you know, they'll cut your dick off. They don't care. You know, they're really scandalous. You're just gonna have to take some licks. But I agree with James. One strike. You know, one strike. Mickey knows I'm on the one strike level now. I gave my buddy 2 strikes and almost got killed. You know, because one of my buddies crossed me and nah, that's my man. And the second time I was at gunpoint.
And what happened then?
Well, you know, I made it out of that, and you know, I mean, it's one of those things. You know, his life didn't continue much longer after that because that was his particular get down, and he didn't really, from crossing me, he was crossing a lot of other people.
Well, it's like you said earlier. You can't. To hustle, you have to be legit. Otherwise, it's gonna pull you in. You're gonna sink.
Yeah, but the particular person that crossed me, he crossed other people. Like, we call that your get down. In other words, if I'm gonna rip you off, I'm not just ripping you off, I'm ripping everybody off. So maybe you just let me slide, somebody else is gonna get me. He's not gonna be able to continue this behavior indefinitely. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I had to learn that too, you know. So there's so many lessons. My advice would be, anytime you could get around somebody like me or James or an older person, a person that's been in the game for a minute, try to suck them dry of all the fucking game you possibly can. That's the only way you can get that experience quicker is, you know, if I could sit with Rupert Murdoch or one of these OGs, do you know what kind of wealth of knowledge they have? It's just, it only comes from experience, man.
And that's just it, Vlad. You're 22, and it's going to happen in both ways to you, you know, so you can't sweat it in either direction. There's a lot of experience. There's a big roller coaster ahead of you, no matter what.
My belief is have an honest attitude about it. You don't have to rip people off. You don't have to have that bloodthirsty technique. You can be honest. Only keep honest people around you. Those people that want to try to do it the slick way, they're going to bring you down. They're going to connect you to something that's not going to last. It might seem quicker, but it's not going to last. You want to be able at 30 to say, man, I've never crossed one motherfucker ever. And you're going to, that's the way you do it. You do not have to cross people. I've never crossed people. You don't have to cross people in order to be successful. That's that bullshit.
Very respectable, Ice-T. You know, I respect that a lot. And, you know, I could talk to you guys for obviously for hours. But I guess the other question I think people naturally my age would have is, how would you connect with, you know, like a Rupert or, you know, even one of you guys? What's the value proposition on my side? How should I present myself?
Just honest. Just be just like, yo, man. I mean, there's nothing anybody likes better than somebody eager to learn. You know, it's just timing. It's like people like us are moving and we got other things happening. But if you ever get a chance to get in there, you know, sometimes I'll speak, I'll do lectures and stuff. But, you know, like right now, you got a one-on-one going with me. It's hard to get those moments and stuff. But if you're fortunate enough, you might not meet an Ice-T or somebody like James, but there's somebody around you that you respect. Just walk in there and say, yo, I'm young. I just need to know the game. What can you give me an advice? Listen, man, when I was in the streets hustling, I used to do that to players. I used to walk up to players that had the nice car in the street, the pimp or whatever, and say, yo, man, give me some game, man. I need some game. Let me tell you one of the games I got from a street cat. He was a pimp. And he was in a wheelchair, and he had rolls and everything. And I was like, yo, man, listen, man, I need some game. I'm looking at all this flash. He said, let me tell you something, young player. He says, if I wanted to cut off your hand, could I cut your hand off for $1 million? I said, nah. He said, how about 2? Nah. I'm like, hell nah. He said, then he touched me on my chest. He said, but you'll jeopardize this entire body for $500 out here in the streets. He said, this is your castle. This is your mansion. This is your roles. Never jeopardize your body. I'm sitting in this wheelchair. I give you everything I could to stand up and walk. Don't jeopardize your body for anything. This is all you got. He said, and that stuck with me my whole life. You know, he's like, y'all take risks out here where your whole body's at risk for chump change. But if I ask you, can I cut off your finger, Mick, I'll give you 10,000.
No, hell no.
See, that's how valuable. I'll give you $1 million for your hand. No, that's how valuable it is. But look what you risk your body every day with. Dumb shit. You see, it is valuable when I put it out there like that. So that's some game I got from a player. But nice talking to you, baby.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right.
Thanks, bud.
All right, who's on the podcast?
My name's Tom. I'm a fellow New Jersey native like yourself.
Okay, what's happening? What you want to talk about?
I saw you at the Lincoln Tunnel a few months ago, maybe, and you gave a homeless dude some money. So I really respect everything you're doing. It just shows that being down to earth like you are, and being an honest guy like you said you are, I think that's really the way that you've managed to stay relevant for so many decades.
I'll tell you something about honesty. The only thing you're gonna have in your life at the end of the day is your reputation. Your reputation is what your kids are gonna live off of. Your reputation is what your family's gonna live off of. So if I'm an asshole and I ripped everybody off and I got so much money but I die, my kids live in the echo of an asshole, a dirty bum. They inherit my fucked up reputation. Fuck the money. They inherit my reputation. But if Ice is a good dude, Ice never did this, Ice didn't cross this, Ice is that, then my kids inherit that. So it's very important. And in business, the first thing we check out is people's reputation. When I'm gonna do business with James, the first thing I'm gonna do is do a background check on who is he fucked, right? So you
about Michael Jordan level, so it's hard to. No, just kidding.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So you can't go out and start your career off doing low and doing dirty, being a photographer, overcharging people, ripping people off, running off with their prints and all that shit, and think that's gonna get you anywhere.
Trust me, I'm the one that gets ripped off, man. So I'm trying to.
The real key is honesty compounds. So that's what prevents you from getting ripped off. Is because if you're speaking true words, then the universe is going to speak true words back to you. And it sounds kind of corny, but it's really true. And that's a good way to avoid getting ripped off in the long term.
I agree. And James, I just want to say one more thing. I love that I discovered you through Rich Roll, and I have been following you since that. And I'm just so happy that I found your books and your podcast, because even just listening the other day to the Steve Scott podcast, I've been inspired to start writing small ebooks, because that's something that I feel like I can contribute to the photography world. And I think that's going to be another way for me to generate some kind of revenue. So
absolutely.
I appreciate all the inspiration that you guys give.
Let me ask you something. How cool is it that James is chilling with Ice motherfucking T? What does that do?
It's really cool.
Crazy. And I saw that on Twitter, and I was like, I'm going to stop everything I'm doing right now and get on the phone. I would never call into anything, but I was like, this has to happen.
I
can't believe I'm on the phone with you right now.
Thanks so much for calling, and my brain is like exploding right now. So this is really cool.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Positive people are going to draw toward positive people, and magic can happen. And the negative will draw toward the negative. You don't believe that? Go check somebody who's an asshole's website. Everybody on there that follows them are assholes.
Yeah, my dad says assholes of a feather flock together.
They do. They do. We in the streets we say water seeks water. Real recognizes real. That's what it is. You're gonna seek yourself out. You're gonna find yourself. And it's, me coming from the streets, as soon as I get around people and they come with that negative shit, I'm like, I've been there already. I've been on the dark side. I know where that leads to. So I can't really fuck with you right now. I'm not on that channel no more. All right, nice talking to you, baby. Peace. And we out. And that was the last call on the Final Level Podcast. Mickey, you know what I'm saying? We come on your podcast and have some fun, because, this is what's beautiful about life. It's like, me and you come from different opposite places, very similar philosophy, very similar. You've had your exploits in the business world and this. I've had it in music. I was talking to Russell Simmons one day. Russell, he'd hustled him up close to $1 billion, and he was doing his thing. And I was like, damn, Rush, like we started at the same time. And I said, yeah, you did very well for yourself. He said, you did too. And I said, yeah, but I said, we were talking about money. I'm like, yeah, but you got more money. But he said, but who had more fun?
That's just it. We talk about this every day, really. Like, I could go out and like start the next hedge funds or Silicon Valley companies, but I love every single day. Yeah. And and I have what I want and what I need. Yeah. So exactly. What else? Am I gonna buy like a 747 or something? Right. So that would just be a drag, like to maintain.
And it's also hard for you to meet people because the thing of it is when you connect yourself to a price or numbers. Like I would say, Dr. Dre, everybody heard. I bet his phone just burnt up and melted in his hand, like because so it gets crazy as far as meeting somebody who really just wants to be your friend or doesn't want anything, And I all my business partners, I tell them, I say, look, man, we get our shit. Don't angle nobody. If we meet somebody that's our friend, we just keep it there. Don't be angling every goddamn person you meet because, people say, well, how are you friends with these people? I'm like, I'm friends because I don't need nothing from them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. I help my friends and then the group grows.
We'd like to thank everybody that's been a listener. We've been doing it now. This is Lucky 13. The reason our podcast is growing is because you are telling somebody else about the podcast. When we started this, they said most of our podcast listeners have never listened to a podcast before. So we're helping the whole podcast community by bringing people in with what we'll call alternative programming. I'd like to thank James Altucher for being here. He's got a wealth of knowledge. I got to hang around this motherfucker a little bit longer, pick his brain. You know what I'm saying? Who you want to sign off to? Nick?
I just got called motherfucker by Ice-T. That's my bucket list has been achieved.
To really make it, I call you my nigga. Now you really made it, yo.
Now you in.
A motherfucking nigga right here.
Hey, look, y'all keep telling a friend about the Final Level Podcast. That's IceTFinalLevel.com. And do me a favor, y'all, fellas. Talking to y'all and only y'all. MaleAwarenessFoundation.org. Please do me a favor. Go read up on it. Go read up on MaleAwarenessFoundation.org. You can catch James.
JamesAltucher.com, ALTUCHER.com, or The James Altucher Show on iTunes, or buy The Power of No, or Choose Yourself.
That's it. The man's got it together. We're here. Body Count is available on iTunes, Amazon. Support the record. Don't just listen to it. Spend $9. You can spend that at motherfucking White Castle, motherfucker. Get the album. Give it to your buddy that needs to grow some balls. We out of here. That's how I'm living. 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 That's how I'm living.